Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. I wanted to do a quick review. This is for Six Underground. I did a trailer reaction to this a couple weeks back. This finally came out on Netflix. I watched this today. This is starring Ryan Reynolds. Well, before I get into it, if you like this video, give me a like and subscribe. So we've got caught this today on Netflix. This is a Michael Bay film. And after watching, I could say very much it is definitely a Michael Bay film. He has he has a style to his movies. So you can always kind of tell when it's a Michael Bay film. Some of the action sequences, there's just like a way this film is just different than most films. It just looks different. I don't know what they call it, but it just has a different look to it. So when it starts, it started, with it just like car chase, like this epic car chase. The first, I forget how many minutes it was, 15 minutes, 20 minutes of it was a car chase. I believe they were in France, I believe it was. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. And they're flying through cities and they, run into people left and right, destroying everything in their path. It involves, one car after another. It involves, Ryan Reynolds and his crew getting chased by these people. And it seems like there's one car after another that just keeps following, even though they get each car to crash or go off path or whatever, but they just keep on coming. So they'll last about 15-20 minutes, and at first it takes a little bit to kind of understand what it's about. Much like a Michael Bay film, it is a little bit confusing. It's almost like what is going on. At first I didn't know what the plot was supposed to be about. It says it's supposed to be about these 6 people who fake their own deaths so that way they can do pretty much whatever they want to get rid of bad guys. That was like the overall plot of it. It took me a while to figure out what the plot was for but that's what it was. So there's a lot of car chases and a lot of killing, a lot of blood. Not too many gory scenes. I mean, there's one where the guy gets a flash bomb stuffed in his mouth and his head explodes, and there's nothing left of his head. It's just his neck with all this blood and stuff. So that was probably like the worst part. But there was definitely a lot of people that get killed. A lot of most of it are gun related deaths in the movie. There wasn't too many. I mean, I think there was one scene where there's like a giant magnet in this boat that Ryan Reynolds' character creates a giant magnet out of this boat, and these characters are all fighting in a kitchen, and because of the magnet, all the metal's flying back and forth, and in one part, a couple of guys get all these knives stabbed into them. But other than that, it was mostly just the gun violence. But a lot of people do get killed in pretty bad ways, but it's not overly gory. It's just like I said, typical Michael Bay film. It's kind of confusing, kind of almost too much of certain things. It does help Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds is typical Ryan Reynolds in this movie. I've seen quite a few of his movies, and his characters always seem to be the same but different. There's some humorous parts, but they're kind of like a dark humor, like making a joke out of something that was happened to somebody who died. That was a really bad joke, but it comes off as kind of funny. Overall, it was decent. I wouldn't say it was great. I mean, if this came out in theaters, I don't know if I would go to see it, but it is definitely worth watching on Netflix. You can tell it's a big budget, and they don't hold anything back as far as the locations go. There's some scenes out in the ocean, some are in the desert. So some of the various cities, Germany and France, I believe, are a couple of them. Just the overall story and getting is kind of convoluted. Like, you didn't know what it was really about, who it was really about, until probably more than halfway through the movie, exactly what was going on. But that's typical of this type of movie. There's all these kind of like, what's going on here? Okay, there's people getting killed, there's car chases, that's kind of cool. Just a lot of action, just to almost kind of like throw all this stuff at you. Who doesn't like a good car chase in a movie? So it's like there was just a lot of it. Wasn't a ton of story really. There was definitely a lot of action. The different characters, I did like the different characters where there was, there's one was a doctor, one guy was a hitman, another guy was, like a computer guy, one guy was a sniper. So everybody had like their own kind of skill sets. There was a woman who she was basically there to just kill people, shooting people. That was her thing. Ryan Reynolds is like the guy who backs to hold this group of 6 people because he's got a whole ton of money, but they don't never say where he got it from. They just say he says that he's a billionaire, but he doesn't say how he's a billionaire because they're not supposed to talk about themselves or who they are because they're all supposed to be dead. So technically they're ghosts, as they say in the movie. So they try not to give too much away if we, when it comes to their background. So they don't even really know each other's names until about 80% of the way through the movie. One guy introduces who his real name is. At the beginning, where they're just known as a number. I think Ryan Reynolds was number 1, so each character had a different number. There was one cool part was there's this kid. His name, I forget what his name was. But he's one of these people that you see like on YouTube, these videos, these people like jumping from building to building. They're able to go up buildings or down buildings, like scaffolding, just by jumping using their own ability without any extras, like without using any harnesses or ropes or anything. But this guy's like going down buildings with most people would probably die, but this guy doesn't. So I thought that was kind of cool because I've seen those videos on YouTube before, and I thought those, you got to have a lot of skill, to want to do something like that and be really brave, not have any fear of dying. That was one of the cooler parts I thought because it's different than the rest of it. It wasn't, the guy didn't, don't get me wrong, he did go around killing people in parts of the movies when he had to, but most of his skill was climbing things, and I thought that was really interesting how they showed that, and I forget they called that camera like a shaking camera, like so the guy who's actually going on these different buildings and must have had a camera like on his head or like a body cam because the way that they shot that's definitely looked that way. I'm sure people who don't like motion sick, get motion sickness probably didn't like that part of it, but I thought it was a little bit different than the rest of the part of the movie. But overall, it was a decent movie. I'm glad I was able to catch it. I like movies with a lot of action, so it's right up my alley. But there just wasn't a ton of story. I mean, there was like one main story, but most of it involved a ton of action, a ton of killing, and a lot of blood. See, I just want to do a quick video, give my 2 cents worth in on what I thought about this because I was kind of looking forward to it. If you have a chance, I would say if you like Ryan Reynolds in action movies, go to Netflix and check it out. It's called 6 Underground. If you guys like this video, give me a like and subscribe. Until next time.